Hi guys, so it's Sunday and that means it's the end of the week, so it's time for this week's book review. So this week I've been reading a book that I've not read before, and it's been a rather interesting read, as I'm about to explain, and that book was Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've just this minute finished reading it. Um, I have to say it was a good read. I found it really quite difficult to read, and I don't know if it's just because if you've read, if you've seen my other videos that I've been doing, I've been reading for the past 9 weeks one fantasy book series. So I've been with the same author for the 9 weeks. So then shifting to an author that has a very, very, very different writing style, I found it quite hard um, to get through. But I've persevered, got there, and I've just finished reading the book. So to give you a bit of background about my relationship with Rebecca, I absolutely adore Alfred Hitchcock's film of Rebecca. I've loved it for so many years. I can't remember seeing it so many times. It's an absolutely elegant, beautiful piece of cinema. If you haven't seen it, really, really recommend it. And last year, I saw a stage adaptation of Rebecca, which was more to the book, and I thought that was absolutely astonishing. I'll put trailers for both the film and the stage adaptation in the description of this video, should you wish to see them. But I have never actually read the book. It's one of these stories that I adore, but I've never picked up the original text. I've never delved into the depth of it. So for this book challenge, I had a copy, so obviously I was going to read it. So if you haven't read Rebecca, it follows a woman whose name we never, ever, ever know. It's told entirely in first person. And she meets a man called Maxim de Winter whilst being, training, should I say, as a companion to a woman in Monte Carlo. They fall in love and get married, and she comes to live in her new husband's house called Mandalay. And there, she already kind of knows a little bit about her husband's past in regards to that he had a wife called Rebecca. She had died the previous year in a drowning accident. A boat kind of drowning incident, and she that's really all she knows about him. And she comes to this house, and it's all about her learning to. She's very shy, she's very timid, and now she's being thrust in a situation where everybody knows, about her. All the villagers want to know about her. She's kind of quite open up into society, and her dealing with that and with her, her timidity and everything. But at the same time, she's got this thing of Rebecca is always a presence there in her house. She has a housemaid called Mrs. Danvers who constantly talks about Rebecca. All of her even her handkerchiefs, everything have Rebecca's initials in them because they once belonged to Rebecca, and it's about her learning what happened to Rebecca, dealing with this third person in marriage who's dead, and yeah, it has so many twists and turns and everything. So I won't say any more than that, as I'm going to be giving, quite a bit away. But I'm going to say right now at this point of the video, I'm going to be talking about different aspects of the book, so it would mean I'm going to possibly reveal sections of the story. So if you want to be kept spoiler free, then I suggest you stop around about now, and if not, if you want to carry on watching this video, fantastic. But yeah, just to say, overall I did enjoy it. It's a tough read, I really have to say, because Daphne du Maurier's got a very interesting writing style, but I have enjoyed reading it. I'm glad I persevered through the toughness and got there to the end. It's got a really good pace to it. It's well written. it's very psychological because it's taught from first person. It's this whole thing of dealing with this other person in a marriage who's dead, um, and the timidity that she has. She's constantly having these thoughts where she's going, oh, I bet someone in the village will say, oh, look at her skirt, oh, isn't she awful? And then it'll spread around the village and everyone will say this and this and this. And she'll go on for a few pages with this thought, and then it'll break away and it'll carry on with the story. So you do have these sections of the story which, you know, you could say are quite odd and everything, but you understand because it's a psychological effect of Rebecca, these thoughts that come to her mind and how they shape her and her relationship with Maxim. Right, so now I want to talk more in depth about various different aspects of it. First of all, I've watched the film so many times and I've never compared it to anything storyline before. As soon as I started reading the book, I was thinking, my God, this is really kind of a modern Jane Eyre. There, you know, there are bits that they've clearly changed and everything. For example, you know, in Jane Eyre, the first Mrs. Rochester is a woman who's insane living in the attic. Well, in Rebecca, the first wife, Rebecca, is dead. You know, they're still, you know, the psychological aspects and everything are still there. So it is a modern version of Jane Eyre, in a sense. There there are things I kept on, I couldn't help but do it because I love the film so much. I kept on comparing different aspects of the film to the book, and I kept on, and I was thinking like, oh, I wish they'd done like that in the book, and oh, they actually did this bit better in the film. So you know, there was lots of thoughts going through my head when I was reading this book. But I have to say that the character who I really found myself really wanted to know more about, who I'd not really thought of before even in the film, because he's there but he's not really there, is the character of Frank. He's a very, very interesting character. He's Maxim's right hand man. He deals with a lot of stuff in Mandalay. He's gone through it, you know, all the hell with Maxim about, you know, stuff that happened with Rebecca, both the stuff that everybody publicly knows and all the stuff that privately knows. There's so much depth to him, and he stood by Maxim's side, and he's a wonderful, wonderful man. I think he's a really, really well thought out character, but he's very much in the background. So he's there, but you don't necessarily focus on him until, you know, stuff comes out and everything, and it's like, wow, he's a really, really good friend. Really, you know, best friend was, you know, keeping hold of. Then you've got other characters like I really like Ben, the simpleton, as he's described, you know, who lives down by the water, who saw Rebecca the last day that she was alive, and his kind of relationship, as it were, with the new Mrs. De Winter. They don't have a relationship. She has conversations with him, but he trusts her. He feels, you know, he can say things to her when he can't say things to anybody else. And I think he's a very interesting character in the story. And of course, Mrs. Danvers. Now, or Danny, as she's known as. Now, Danny is a very interesting character, and I learned so much about her in the book that wasn't in the film. You know, about the way in which she had known Rebecca since she was like 12. It wasn't just a case of they met when she got employed when Rebecca got married to Maxim. You know, she's known her for so many years, and the obsession that she has with Rebecca, it's really creepy. You know, a lot more darker than I anticipated it would be. I don't know if maybe because I've seen the film so many times, so I'm used to that, but I feel like it had that same weight that the film has, but there was much more depth to it. It was much darker. I kind of wish that they did her end the way that the film did. That's the only thing that I would say, because in the book she just packs up and leave, whereas in the film she has the same demise as Mandalay, the house. And yeah, I kind of wanted to read her going, and it's like, no, she's just done a midnight flip, she's gone. It's like, oh, okay, that's really good. Maxim as well is also a very interesting character, because the way he 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 is Mr. Rochester. How he finds this woman that he absolutely falls in love with, but then there's a past to him, and there's a past that he doesn't want to discuss about. He doesn't want to go back to that place because he knows it's a very dark place. He's a completely different man than who he was, and he doesn't like the man he was before. I can respect him for wanting to keep his wife out of it. I can respect him for all of that stuff. There are some aspects where I'm a bit like, oh, well, why didn't you just do this rather than do that? In his marriage to Rebecca. But it's the way that she wrote him. It's the way that he is. Again, in the film, I would have liked if they had done Rebecca's final night in the kind of last discussion between Maxim and Rebecca, the way that is done in the book. Now, the reason why they did it a different way in the film, I've read about this, is that they didn't want Laurence Olivier to be seen as doing what Maxim did that night, because they feared that audience members would think that isn't Laurence Olivier being this character that's doing it. They would see it just being Laurence Olivier doing it, and therefore that could affect his fans and everything, and then for them not to be fans of his anymore, even though it's a role. Now, that's a bit extreme, I think. Any actor can play any character, and that character can do anything. It's some of the best things in the world and some of the most horrific things. But you don't see it as being the actual actor that's done it, or at least, I certainly don't. So yeah, to stop the fans from suddenly accusing Laurence Olivier of doing these horrible, horrible things, they decided to change the sequence of events. But still, even saying that, the actual sequence of events that they do they do describe, should I say, in the film, because obviously Rebecca's not alive, so they can't show it. The things that they describe, it worked still, but not in the same way. I prefer the book version. So overall, it was a very, very good piece. It's a very interesting psychological story. And because it is told in the first person and it is so psychological and quite messed up, it's very tough reading, I found. But then, as I said, because I've done 9 weeks of reading the same author, and I'm suddenly going to another author who's very, very different, that could also be a reason why I found it so tough. But I'm glad I persevered through. I got through it. I really liked it. It's a wonderful story, even though it is very it's got these real dark sides to it, and really creepy and everything. But I love the story, and how the timid girl who thought that she was nothing because she kept on comparing herself to Rebecca and going, oh, I'm not like Rebecca, and her confidence sinking and sinking and sinking, and then for her to be this strong, confident woman at the end of it, that is the greatest achievement of her character and everything. And I like that in the end they're happy. They are totally happy. That she's confident as Mrs. De Winter. She is content, and so is Maxim. They're doing all right, and I'm really happy that's how it ended. It does have a very abrupt ending, just to clarify, because all of a sudden everything's going haywire and it just stops right there. So I don't know if Daphne du Maurier wanted to, well, not do a sequel, but maybe have a little short continuation story. But then, because it's written in the first person, and obviously that it's now post these events, you kind of do get some information about what their life is like. They're living abroad, and their daily routines and how it works for them. So you do kind of know some information already. Maybe that was enough, she felt, that you didn't need to know any more information. But it's a very, very interesting read. So, right, I'm going to stop there. So, as I said, I'll put the links to trailers and such of the stage play and the film in the description of this video. What did you think? Have you read Rebecca? I'd love to know what you think of this. Please do leave me a comment of what you thought in this video, or if you want to show what you thought another way, you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, entirely up to you. I'd love to hear what you thought, and I'll be back with my next video announcing what the next book will be for the next week. Alright, see ya!